Okay, good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our final installment of the District Advisory Committee and our work on the LCAP. I want to thank everybody for attending. If we could go very quickly around the room and introduce ourselves just one more time, I'd appreciate it. We'll start with Mrs. Bell.
I'm Tara Bell, Principal of Cuesta.
Ryan Gonzalez.
Good evening, Ryan Gonzalez.
Cindy Sosa. Go ahead, Bernice.
Mary. Good evening, Bernice Tingle, Mountain High CSD Board.
Good evening, Julie Corona, Director of Special Education.
Irene Visitil, Assistant Principal Altamont, Bethany Parent.
Alina Kaiser, CBO.
Matt Belzerini, on the school board.
Heather Sherburne, the Director of Instruction Assessment and Technology Integration.
Christian Goodwin, Assistant Superintendent.
Noelle Balzerini, Executive Assistant.
Jen Lanza, Administrative Secretary.
And I'm Kirk Nicholas, Superintendent and Cuesta Parent. So tonight we're going to briefly go over our where we're at. Tonight we're going to make our final recommendation for the amendments or changes to the LCAP, which was approved last year, to our board next month. So let's go ahead and get going. We have an LCAP document review. It's going to be shared easily in what we're calling the cheat sheet, which appears like this with the three colors, green, red, and yellow. We're going to share a little bit in this presentation of the very few feedback and questions we received. Alvina is going to give a budget overview of the impact of the green, yellow, and red portions of the cheat sheet, which are also delineated in the LCAP itself. And we're going to move for approval from this body to move the amendments to the board next month. So before we get into the nuts and bolts, if you take a look up here, at the district level, the following listed meetings are where the LCAP was presented or discussed or reviewed through the board subcommittees, through the district committees, through differing meetings such as this. You can see quite a bit of effort has been made to get out to all of our constituent groups at the district level. And then at the site level, each of our 6 schools have also conducted a number of different presentations, in all cases with the school site councils, some foundation work, parent work, in the end, getting the information out and sharing that with stakeholders and gathering feedback throughout the course of the year. So what's interesting is for the last month since our last meeting, we've had it out via the website, through school sites, individual conversations, and some meetings. And these are the comments by stakeholders, and I think they're very good. Number one, positive comments about the supports for the arts, and they like the color-coded cheat sheet, which I will brag for our district at an important event put on by CSBA and their higher echelon executive leaders and a group of statewide superintendents. Our cheat sheet was taken by a number of districts as a means to try to explain the annual renewal of the LCAP and how do you explain to the community of stakeholders what you're doing for changes at the end of a year and not do the whole rollout of the LCAP year after year after year. Number two, it's amazing how many things our district does to promote learning and growing in students and our community. I thought that was really nice. Number three, exciting to be aware of all that we do and to be a part of it too. Congratulations on creating such a detailed and correct LCAP to reflect our efforts. We'll thank our friends at the county for going away from the hyper detailed, way over the top, over explanation to a more bullet point orientation. Would be nice to have a simple summary of the LCAP, and I think the cheat sheet does a good job of that. And high school pathway programs should be monitored and reported out. In terms of questions, I believe there were 6. How will drama and the visual and performing arts be implemented at each school site with extracurriculars? And just a quick reminder, our board very generously approved a $10,000 annual investment in our extracurricular opportunities for kids in the arts and humanities. where the money, $10,000 at each of our elementary school sites, goes to the principal's purview to work with foundations, parent groups, to provide anything from drama productions to mock trial to debate clubs, anything they can do to get our kids actively engaged. Number 2 is the K-8 summer school program only for Title I students. Will we continue this next summer? So the answer is yes, it is for Title I students. That money is given to us by the federal government to meet the needs of a particular identified subgroup, low income. And during future years, after this year's program, we're going to review it. We're going to look at attendance and performance. And if the money's there and the will's there in the community for that group of kids, we're going to continue the program. Number 3, as we move forward with the one-to-one Chromebook model 4th through 8th grade, and as a district making us one-to-one 4th through 12th grade, can students check out the devices just like the high school? That's been a big debate over the last year and a half. The answer is that's a great question. I think what we're really looking at is a model where once at least the 8th grade students have had all of the training that the high school kids get, that we're going to open that door first with 8th grade students. I think it's less likely that with the intermediate students that we would create that need. But I think with the 8th grade students and some of the advanced math programs that we're offering them, it might be beneficial. We were learning, in all candor, how to manage these Chromebooks and the insurance, and how do you deal with if one gets broken or damaged, and all of those logistical things, and we were conservative in the way we were dealing with passing them out beyond the high school. Number 4, has there been any discussions about ending our contract with Compass Learning because the students have reported that it is not useful to them? I don't know which students those are or how large that number of students are. We currently have about 3,500 kids on Compass. We have discussed whether or not Compass should be an ongoing program when the contract is up. What we do know is we have RCD units of study that have been created for our math area. We have a new ELA-ELD adoption. So with math and the designs of those units, Compass has been woven in as part of the practice and will be used. In terms of Compass and the ELA program, we made the decision to make that a supplement so that it is not a distraction to the ELA-ELD adoption. Number 5, concerns about the outline of online testing that was done this year, or the amount of online testing, that we felt isolated from instruction was brought up. Will we adjust the amount of interim online assessments and or MAP? And the answer is this is a really good question. MAP was brought in when there was no assessments in our district. There was no specific data to do strategic support. There was no data to weekly or monthly review how kids are progressing. So it was brought in a different era. With the new ELA-ELD adoption, with the new interim assessments with CASP, with the CASP results, we have a lot going on and a lot in transition. So we will continue to monitor this, and we will stay focused in on not over-assessing our kids, but we will also provide our teachers and our site leaders with the data they need to know which kids are progressing and which kids are not. So my guess is that you can't do everything, so some things will give on the edges, and slowly but surely, with all the new programs we brought in, we'll get the right balance in the amount of assessments that we're doing. I'm not going to say we're over-assessing now, I'm just simply saying new programs have come on board. And finally, number 6, with the new ELA curriculum and ELD embedded at all grade levels, or will it be? And the answer is yes. Will ELD be embedded? Yes. So ELD, English Language Development, will be provided to our identified students as part of the adopted program. So it's important to note we receive federal dollars, Title III, to support the needs of English learners. We receive supplemental grant dollars from the state of California in our LCFF supplemental grant funding. And now we have a curriculum with identified systematic and strategic ELD instructional materials. And the expectation will be, yes, they will be used across grade levels and across the district systematically, and we will be collecting data. This is the first time for this district that we'll be able to do so. So that is all of the specific feedback and questions we received from our stakeholders. So, I want to go back one. Okay. So what we need to do now is I'm going to have Alvina, our CBO, go over the cheat sheet where she's going to be able to talk about green, yellow, and red. For those of you in the audience that can't read this, green is any new additions to the LCAP on our annual renewal. Yellow would be any changes made to something that was already in the approved document that needed to be tweaked, and red is deletions. So with no further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our Chief Business Official, Alvina Kaiser.
I know this document has been brought before you in previous meetings, but I did want to point out that a column was added in the far right-hand column that talks about the change in funding. So in this case, if you look at the first 113 that is affected by funding, you can see that we've added gate testing and budget expenditures. And in the far right-hand column, you can pull up page 13 of 95 of the LCAP plan, and you can see that the full amount for all those expenditures is $66,000. But in this case, $5,000 is additional dollars added to gate.
Why don't we wait till it's posted up so people, there we go.
A little bit bigger. Make it a little bit bigger. As I'm referring to the, so yellow 13 is the first place that you do see a $5,000 change in funding from the original LCAP plan. On page 13 of 95, you can see that the total expenditures is $66,000, but in your Excel spreadsheet, the summary, the additional cost for the gate testing is $5,000. So that's how we read this document. The next one I'm going to refer to is on page 28. I want to scroll up just a bit. And it talks about the far right-hand column, you see $123,045, page 28 of 95. You can see the green highlighted area, discuss adding blended learning training to prepare teachers for 21st century classrooms and to provide new teacher academy and bits of training. That cost is $123,000 for those items, and that's what's in addition to the original LCAP plan. Should I review some of these others? Should I go down each of them?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So obviously the curriculum that were purchased, page 37 is green. That's a change to the initial item. The $825,000 for the recently approved ELA, ELD curriculum for this next year. Then we've added live stream board meetings on page 43 of 95. And some of these costs, they're just original budget estimates. Obviously, if we find that there's a higher need to increase streaming, that cost would change. Next line item, page 50, adding more technology. Of course, if we continue to grow, that cost would increase from the $210,000. On page 62, we have the online intervention programs where we're adding another $20,851 to the original LCAP plan. And of course, on page 70, the $7,500, that cost may also increase depending on the number of participants that are engaging in the training. And the very, very bottom of the document, page 88 through 90, is in regards to the supplemental funds, and these are funds in addition to the amount of funding that we had in the LCAP plan last year and the percentage increase of that expected MPP proportionality. Everything that has no are just items that are changed in the language, deleted or added, but not affecting funding on those pages. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. Page 14, top of the document. That's right, I wasn't sure I was going to cover them all. There's quite a bit of training that we're providing, and I can see a typo. Oops, PE teacher. I didn't catch that. Obviously, know that if a particular goal is listed in one area, may have curriculum tied into this goal and also another goal, you're going to see it twice Because I know a question has come up before, if they added all the 1,000 expenditures, if that is what equaled the budget, and that's not the case. These are just items that are associated with the LCAP plan. So as you see that 953,000 would include the curriculum and any of the training that you see listed there. And these are all above and beyond items that we've added to the LCAP.
So are you saying that as part of the 953 is also the 815 down below?
Yes.
So that's not 1.7 million?
Exactly. It's just saying the purchase is meeting this goal. The purchase is also meeting that goal.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, so in quick summary, we have the LCAP, which is written out in this very large and dense packet, which is on our website. We have identified inside of this very large and dense packet by color the items that are on the cheat sheet that Alvina just described in the expenditures. So again, anything seen in green is an addition, something new we added to last year's approved LCAP plan. Anything in yellow is something that we amended, and anything in red is something that we took out. And so when you look at the budget sheet, what we tried to do is explain the purchases that were different than what we put in the plan when it was approved last year. The LCAP is a 3-year plan, and so therefore each year we annually will renew, and so this is a renewal exercise to explain any changes to the document and any additional funds. So remember that the LCFF funds increased this year, and also we had a big curriculum adoption. So with that, what we're asking to do is to ask the committee here to recommend, with no more questions, that we move this forward to the board for approval next month. Can we have an A and a nay? All in favor say aye. Aye. I guess, or A. That's Fonzie's term for yes, for those of you from the 70s. Okay, so the ayes have it. So thank you very much. The next thing we're going to do is there's a special board meeting June 13th. That was put forward to our board a long time ago because it gives Alvina and her team in business office a little bit more time to do all of the machinations of budget office operations. And then we're going to take it to the board for formal approval on June 15th. So the final part to this evening is I'd like to invite our board president, Matt Balzerini, up, who has some important information to share that's related to this, but at a bigger, more grand level at the Sacramento regional and state level.
So I just wanted to let everyone know, I'm a regional director for the California School Board Association. So my position, I represent 6 counties, Amador, Calaveras, Tuolumne, Merced, Stanislaus, and San Joaquin. And within those counties, I have 14 delegates that represent those counties. Twice a year we meet at the state level, and then additionally I'm on the board of directors, so we meet almost monthly. I think it's 9 times a year. One of the topics at our last delegate assembly meeting, which was last weekend, was LCAP 3.0, which Wes Smith, he's the executive director of AXA, and Eric Hines is the CTA president, presented as part of their co-chairs for the Superintendents of Public Instruction Task Force on Accountability and Continuous Improvement. They want to come up with a new, make revisions to the current document, and they're asking all the stakeholders to provide information. CSBA is one of the 30 stakeholders that participates in the process, so they gave it to delegate assembly. We had breakout sessions where all the delegates, there's over 320 delegates, got together and presented ideas, which was going to go to that committee. And I wanted to let this committee know that changes are in the works and everyone's identifying that this is a cumbersome document. And let me just give you some of the high-level recommendations that came out of those committee meetings. So they want a document that's more user-friendly, an executive summary or a cheat sheet, kind of what we're doing already. Plain language, no eduspeak. This will help engage parents. An online system with hyperlinks, drop-downs, color-coded menus. Less redundancy of information required. Remove the instructions from the document, have those listed in an appendix. Allow for year-to-year flexibility in goals and strategies based on results of the data of the current year. Consistency in County Office of Education's expectations and standards. That came across loud and clear. That's an issue throughout the state. They want tabs that are tailored to the different stakeholders, reduce the duplication, and increase statewide promotion for the parents to try and get engagement. They said have something like we have Drug-Free Week, have something like LCAP Week to try and promote this to the parents to get them involved in the process. So if anyone has any other ideas that I can take back to Sacramento, please let me know. But I just wanted to let everyone here know that people are recognizing this. It's a start. I don't want to say a good start. It's a start. But there's still much work to be done, and everyone recognizes we need to make this simpler and easy to use. So, thank you.
Okay, so that concludes this year's work on the Local Control Accountability Plan. I want to thank everyone here for your dedicated service to our students in our district, and we look forward to seeing our good work put into practice next school year, and we will continue to monitor growth and have these conversations again next year as we do this same process. So if no one else has any other questions, I'll call the meeting to conclusion. Thank you and have a good night.